October balance changes have been finally finalized, and in today's video, we're going to be going over them and seeing what the dev team has to say for all these nerfs coming into the game. Quick note here, I did want to get this video out yesterday when they went live, but unfortunately, I had a lot of schoolwork that day, and my schedule just was not aligning with my upload schedule. So I did want to record yesterday, but I literally had no time, and I hope YouTube doesn't punish me for that. So Berserker's getting a hit speed increase of 20%. This is actually different from the work in progress balance changes. I just don't remember what her original nerf was planned to be. I do definitely agree with this reasoning. For 2 elixirs, she just got way too much value, and this should definitely balance the card out a little bit. So good job to Supercell for this. Bomber is overly versatile, being played in both cycle and heavier decks as a cheap defensive option. We're slightly trimming his hit points to match troops like the Firecracker and Archers. I didn't really see the need for this. Nobody was complaining about Bomber. Bomber's usage rates weren't through the roof. I can kind of see where they're coming from, but I just don't think there was a nerf needed to Bomber because he wasn't like dominating the meta. It's like he was just a card that was there to deal with like a lot of the baits that's been going around, like hyper bait. Bomber's really good against that, but I don't really see the point in nerfing this card. Like, I personally don't see the point in nerfing the card, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know, the devs usually are on crack when they make the balance changes, but this time didn't seem like they were on as much, substances, because these are actually not all bad balance changes, but I don't really agree with this. I really just don't see the point in nerfing the Bomber. Next up, we got the Furnace. It's getting a movement speed nerf. It's going from slow to medium, so a 33% increase in speed. I don't know. I'm not sure why it says decrease. That's a 33% increase in speed. Might have been a typo. So pretty much it's going to be moving faster, meaning it's going to be spawning less Fire Spirits, meaning it's going to get less value as a card. Furnace has been flooding the arena with Fire Spirits before even crossing the bridge, and players are often able to get 2 or 3 Furnaces down at once. Increasing its movement speed will make it a bit easier to play into, as it will spawn fewer Fire Spirits before crossing the bridge. Yeah, it's just literally what I said here. I personally would not have given it movement speed nerf. I personally would have given it a range nerf because it has like the same range of a Musketeer. I just think that's stupid. At least half a tile nerf would have been good, but I mean, it's a decent explanation. I don't mind this nerf whatsoever. Moving on, I got the Goblin Drill. First Goblin spawn speed from 0.8 to 1 second, a 25% increase. Goblin Drill has been dealing damage a little too quickly right after deployment, especially when paired with powerful spells to give players a fairer chance to respond when we're delaying its first spawn, so it's less of an instant threat. I actually like this reasoning. I like that they mentioned paired with powerful spells. What they're probably referring to here is the Snowball and Evo Snowball, which I do agree with. This is going to give a lot more opportunities for players to counter the Drill, but it's also going to mean that Drill is not going to be meta this season whatsoever. There's no Drill decks floating around currently. I know it's only the start of the season, but I've not seen a single Drill deck floating around currently. Evo Skarmy is just being played with beat down, which is understandable, but Drill, I think it's just going to fall out of the meta, especially this season. So overall, not a bad nerf. I like this, but I definitely think the card is going to be much weaker now. Goblin Hut is getting a hit points nerf of 4%. Goblin Hut is extremely difficult to break through without the right answers, so we're making it a little less spell resistant and keeping the goblins from partying too hard. I do agree with this. I do agree with this reasoning. It tanked spells quite well, such as the Log and Fireball. It was definitely the best building in the game and just towering above other buildings, so I'm glad they give it that hit points nerf because I think other buildings do get the opportunity to shine now, and it's not going to be so oversaturated in the meta, hopefully. Goblin Giant's getting a hit points nerf, and the Spear Goblin range is going from 5.5 tiles to 5 tiles. The Spear Goblin's first hit speed is going from 0.4 to 0.5 seconds. Great nerf. I do think for both of these cards, I went over them. They've stayed the same since the work in progress, so this is definitely a well-deserved nerf for both of these cards. They've been dominating the meta. Yeah, I mean, not much to say here. This is a good reasoning here because they have been at the top of the meta for the past few seasons. I completely agree with that. And they definitely needed some kind of a nerf, so I'm glad it came sooner than later. Moving on, we got guards. They're getting a 25% increase to their first hit speed from 0.4 to 0.5 seconds. Guards are overshadowing similar swarm options, offering huge value with little downside. We're slowing down their first attack while retaining their resistance to spells to set them apart from squishy, high-damage swarm cards. But the first hit speed, I don't think it's going to affect it all that much. I do think a nerf was probably coming at some point in time for these cards. I think that was just its fate, but Overall, I mean, this is not a bad nerf. It's not a good nerf. It's just I'm kind of meh to it. It's like it's not really going to change the usage of this card. It's still going to be a very good card. And I still do think guards are going to be viable even this season. Next up, we got the Ice Wizard. Its slowdown effect is going from 35 to 30%. It's a 14% nerf. And other troops that have this slowdown effect, like the Fisherman, Giant Snowball, and Ice Golem, they're also getting a 14% nerf to their slowdown effect just so they can stay consistent. The slowing effect of Ice Wizard and Giant Snowball are too effective at shutting down big pushes to cool down overly defensive gameplay. Their slowing abilities will now be less severe. I agree with this. This is good. Good reasoning. I think they should have probably included that Ice Wizard is probably the best defensive card in the game. That would have been good to include here. But I think everybody knows who plays in top ladder that Ice Wizard is the best defensive card in the game. It has been the best defensive card in the game for quite some time. And I am happy that it got this nerf because for 3 Elixir, it got so much value, just like the Berserker and just like the guards on defense. It could aid so well against big pushes, and I just think for 3 Elixir, it got too much value. Moving on, we've got the minions, and they were actually going to get a first-time hit speed nerf, but now they're getting a damage nerf, which I think is better in my opinion, because their DPS was crazy, and that is exactly what is mentioned here. So we're happy with minions' new range, but their DPS is a bit too high for a 3 Elixir troop, especially compared to other flying units. We're bringing that DPS down just a bit to keep things fair in the air. Good one, Clash, good one. I do agree that the DPS on this card was crazy. Like, it would not be uncommon to see your opponent fireballing your minions for a -1 trade, just so they don't DPS down your whole P.E.K.K.A. Goblin Giant push. So overall, I completely agree with this nerf. I do think the minions needed some balancing. And again, I don't think this is going to be a bad card this season. I think it's going to shine against siege decks, and overall, it's still going to be a good card in the meta. And finally, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for, Prince is getting a nerf. Yes! Let's go! This is the equivalent of that picture where those men are like reading a newspaper and on the cover it says Hitler dead. Prince has been dominating the meta for like the past 4 or 5 months. Like before I even came back into the game, Prince was one of the best cards in the game. So overall, this is a big W. This is big W balance changes. They finally listened to the community. They finally read their comments under any social media post they made over the past like 2 months and finally saw that, oh wait, the community wants Prince to get nerfed. The community wants Prince to get nerfed, but no, we're going to nerf Miner and Ice Spirit. We're not going to listen to the community. We're going to nerf Miner and Ice Spirit instead. But lo and behold, they finally listened and we got a Prince nerf. We've won. The community has won. Finally. Now, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I still do think the Prince should get a little bit of a damage nerf. I don't know. I'm not really going to elaborate much on that because I don't want to make this video too long. But I personally think there should be a little bit of a damage nerf given to the Prince because I think he's still going to be a pretty strong card even after this nerf. Okay, so I thought the Prince would be at the very bottom of the balance changes because it was a recently added balance change. So to not bother you guys with any of the nerfs which have stayed the same since the work in progress ones, I'm just going to recap one more nerf that I do think is a complete demolition of a card in general. All of these other nerfs are the same. They have not been changed. The Vines is dead. I'm telling you guys right now. So originally, as you guys can see here, the Evo Witch was getting a heal per skeleton nerf from 76 to 64, which was a 16% nerf. But now in the finalized balance changes, it's going from 76 to 60, a 21% nerf to the healing per skeleton. The card is dead, okay? I did see it in some giant decks with the Evo Skarmy at the start of the season, but I'm telling you, the card is dead. I'm not sure if balance changes have gone into effect yet, but if they haven't, I'm telling you the card is not going to last a long time in this meta. This is just too significant of a nerf to ignore, and the card is just not going to be viable anymore. Last season, the Evo Witch was definitely a top 5 Evo in the game. Now, I could genuinely consider it to be like a bottom 15 or even a bottom 10 Evo because of this 21% nerf to the healing per skeleton. I mean, it's just devastating for the card in my opinion. That's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think of these finalized balance changes in the comments down below. I might not upload as much this week considering the amount of workload I have for school. So I might upload on Thursday again, and then I'll upload a good amount on the weekend. I got some new shorts ideas, so I hope they do well. Like and subscribe. Boost my channel in the algorithm. I'm trying to get monetized by the end of March. Thank you guys for 40 subscribers. Let's get to 50 subs by the end of the week. I would really appreciate it. That's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think of the balance changes in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.